Hey there everyone, it's AJ Van Rixtel and it is time for another video. And in today's video, I am going to be going through my 2014 artwork. In this folder. That's right, I am going to be going through my 2014 artwork because I started doing this in 2014, getting back into drawing and things like that since I went to college, and I thought it'd be a good time to sort of like go through and see my progress. It's been about 4 years now, and my main motivation towards doing art and getting back into art and kind of catching the bug was in order for me to be able to use like my graphic design skills and my art skills in order to create the book covers for my novels, which I have done, and I've been creating the book covers for my novels and things over the years, and I'm really happy with how they turn out and things. But I'm also really happy with like how I've been progressed with my art and stuff, and I feel as though this would be a great time to sort of take a step back and view what it is that I've been able to accomplish over the years. And I thought, do you know what, I will quickly go through the first sort of like half a year that I started about halfway through 2014. So that is my plan for that. So I hope you will enjoy, and I will make sure that you I will go do a bit of commentary on that as I go through there. So I started in like sort of mid 2014, as you can tell by the little time here, and the reason why I started is because I realized that at some point I was going to want to have to do book covers, and well, I needed to be at a standard where I could draw things for the book covers relatively well, and as it stood from this, as you can tell, that wasn't really going to be possible. So I got practicing, and this is kind of like the culmination of those efforts. I moved on to doing like various different sort of poses. As you can see here, it's quite flat. I've not got used to the sort of dimensional type drawings. These are a couple of characters. Again, the proportions are off. Somehow the feet are all the way over here. The faces are weird as well, and the eyes, and yeah. Again, more sort of that same sort of thing there. And sort of like I started going into sort of like trying to do a bit of perspective work and the stage and stuff. Again, it's still a bit sort of not sort of 3D type looking. It kind of looks flat. Another bit of glare there. Another sort of character there. And I've got this one now. I did actually do a video with this one, where I redrew this. I think I did it a few months back, maybe even last year. I can't remember now. I'll have to look it up and put it in the thing up at the top here. I did one with a bit of movement, so the person's like falling in the sky. So a bit of a weird disco hippie type one. Kind of not sure what happened here. Looking at this, it's a bit weird. And then I've got, again, another one like that. It's kind of like a redraw. It's all obviously, I'm obviously getting better. And here I got a marker, and I was using this, kind of getting used to the markers. I quite like the sort of shading effects here. A bit weird up at the top here, but I quite like those shading effects there. Another sort of weirdish sort of one there. Here, I don't know what happened with the leg. It kind of is bent weirdly. And then I did some practice eyes, or eye practice, should I say. And I just thought I'd get in a bit of shading practice and things like that. Quite heavy with the lines. This is the one that I did the video on, not the other one. This is the one I did the video on. I don't remember now. Yeah, so I did a redraw video of this, and I actually quite like the way I managed to do this. It's kind of like a sort of relaxed pose anyway, so I quite liked how I managed to get that done. I was practicing like the sort of coat thing coats here. Here's some oil pastel work, not particularly great. That's meant to be a character from one of my novels. And here's like a rough idea for what I wanted the initial book cover to be. I eventually moved on to something else later on in the year because I've always wanted to have like a sort of silhouette. I got some Copic markers, a little set of Copic markers, and this is like the first time that I used those Copic markers. And this is the second time that I use those Copic markers. Not particularly great. It's all choppy and yeah. And here is like me starting to design the back cover. As you can see, it's still a bit stiff. The faces are not that great, and I can know that I've done better. I've always been relatively good at drawing trees, so I'm quite happy with how they turned out there. Another sort of little hand in pocket type character thing, just something that I just randomly drew. Again, I was kind of like practicing this sort of shading technique type thing, weird leg angles and stuff. Not very great on the whole there. A bit of hand practice. Don't know what's happened here, but yeah, okay. I wanted to learn to draw fists and stuff. I also wanted to be doing my own maps as well for the book, and this is a drawing of a map for one of the worlds, which is called the Everglade. So this is like the Elven City, and this is like the Dragon's Ridge and things like that. Here is the initial sketch for the back cover of the original cover that I did for the project, and I actually quite liked how this turned out. I think I could have used this as sort of and done the sort of silhouette type thing that I want to do. Now that I think about it, that's what I could have done. This is meant to be one of the characters, but I actually quite like how this turned out for that. It's one of my better pieces of 2014. Oh, look at that. Apparently there's 18 months in a year. 17, 18, 20, 2014. Okay. Interesting. This is a bit of fan art that I did from a book, from the back of a book that I had been reading. I believe that it is The Hammer of God by, I want to say Karen Miller. Yeah, I believe it's Karen Miller. Sort of really weird and wacky picture there. Not quite sure what I did while I was doing outlines and stuff like that. Sort of wanted to get to grips with guns. Get it? Grips with the guns, because you've got the hand gripped around the gun. Never mind. Okay, so yeah, that's what I just kind of like, again, doing some sort of weird pose type thing. This one is, I know what this one is. I'll splash that up in there. I put this one in for like a sort of portfolio type piece, which it's one that took me quite a while to do, and it quite showcases some of like my shading skills and things like that, which I'm really happy with. I then moved on to doing some more of my characters from the novel, and I'm really happy with how these turned out. I kind of like sort of did this new sort of, or not a new sort of, but a different sort of shading style where you kind of just shade around the outlines and things. This one is called Knife Rockin'. She's been a bit of a redesign since then, but I'm just kind of like happy I did a sort of zoomed out version of her, or zoomed in version of her face, or rather. Here is another one of the characters. I actually want to do a redraw of this because I quite like the pose and the way this looks, and I might even be tempted to use that as the back cover at some point for the third and final book in the trilogy. Here's just a random sort of sketch. I wanted to kind of get used to this sort of like backward glancing pose, and I don't know what's happened there. She's kind of like floating in the air. Here's Knife again. And I did some like face and hairstyle practice. I'm not quite sure they're not that great, but kind of quite like this one for the hairstyle. And I think I did actually pick that one up. Yes, I did. And I did some like redraws, and I quite like this actually. I quite like this side profile, this profile piece that I did there. That's one of my better sort of like practice pieces for 2014. Here's a bit more fan art. I wanted to kind of like get used to doing it. As you can see here, my lines are not particularly great, but I'm quite happy with how this turned out. It's from Akamiga Kill, if you've ever checked that out. Here's some. Now I'm starting to get into like the sort of different planes and things like that. So there is a bit more dimension to that. It's a bit weird here with the leg, but I am quite happy with how this turned out and with the hands as well. 2014, I was really working on hands, and I did a sort of redraw, but the legs are a bit iffy. Here was more fan art from Hana Yamata, which I really did quite like the anime, so I thought I'd give this a go. I was going to colour it in and stuff, but in the end I decided not to bother. I don't know why. Another bit of fan art from Akamiga Kill. I really like that anime, and I'm currently reading the manga as well, or collecting the manga. Now, this one also marks sort of a bit of a milestone for me as well. It marks the first sort of finished piece that I'd done, which was a watercolour piece. So I did the outline and then I redrew the outline and actually did a watercolour. I think I can get it here. Let me just go and see if I can find that. Here it is. I've actually got this up on the wall because I really liked how this turned out. It's kind of like subtle. I mean, it's not the best of watercolours, but yeah, I really liked how this particular piece turned out there, and yeah, I'm just quite happy with that. I was practicing a sort of scene from one of my novels, and I really struggled with getting the perspective and things like that right on this, and the proportions and stuff. But I did start to be able to differentiate between like the female body and the male body, at least. This piece I've added a lot of movement into, and I really actually quite like this. Probably not quite right, and the eyes are probably a bit off, and they also have no ears, which is interesting. But yeah, that's kind of something that I've really enjoyed doing. A bit more use of the marker here, and just getting used to the markers and stuff. I think I actually had a brush tip for that one. And here I was getting used to perspective as well, so I really wanted to be able to like do sort of like dynamic shapes with the swords, and yeah, I wanted to make it look as though the swords were here in your face rather than at the back of the picture. Another sort of posy type thing with swords, and this is one that I did take into 2015 and did a bit of a redraw. And yeah, and it kind of developed into one of my characters, which I really do like, and I'm working her into a story. Her name's Trelly Seo, and this is one of my favourite pieces of 2014. It marks when I got my Prismacolor pencils, which I used to colour this in. It's like from the Fate Stay series, and it's one of my favorite animes, or anime even. And I just really like how I managed to get the eyes and things, and I just quite like how I managed to get that. This is from the anime Trinity 7. This is Levi the Ninja Mage, and yeah, I did copy this, but I like the pose, and I managed to work out the line work and things. This is another like sort of original character, just practicing again. the faces off, but yeah. Here, I have no idea what that is, but kind of like working on robes and things. Late 2014 again, just more face practice. Me trying to do a profile picture. Me starting to work on another character for another series, which I will hopefully be revealing at some point in the up and coming months. I've been working on that for a while, and it is going to be kicking off a new series of books that I hope to release over the coming years. This is actually one of my favourite pieces again. I quite like the shading that I managed to do here, and it is kind of like multi-dimensional, 3-dimensional there as well. Again, this is another this is random though, but I didn't finish it off. So this one is obviously Sinon from Sword Art Online, and again, I quite liked this particular character, and I thought I'd do a bit of a fan art piece on her. Here is some more character work. This is me attempting to learn more about, obviously, anatomy and things, so I was really focused on that. Not sure what's happened with the feet here, but yeah. This one again is a bit off, but I think you can clearly tell the improvement, like even just within the space of a few months, which I'm quite happy with. And when I say improvement, this is like an original piece that I made, and I feel as though this is again one of my better pieces of 2014, and it's kind of like the accumulation of a load of practice and things, and I just feel as though I drastically improved, and I'm actually going to consider doing a redraw of this particular character as well. This one was from Your Lie in April. I really enjoyed the anime. It was sad as well, but I just quite liked the anime, and yeah, it was quite interesting. This was for some extra other work that I was doing for my novels, which I never got round to completing, but I wanted to like practice the sort of perspective and things like that. Then another sort of full colour piece. I kind of just sat down and started doing that. Hands are a bit weird, but yeah, I think it just shows a bit of improvement with regards to like the sort of general figure. Here is a bit more sort of pose work and things, but a tree, and as I say, I quite enjoy doing trees, and I think it's one of my fortes. The only issue is like the leaves and stuff. Oh, that's not twisted around. Here is another one that I quite is just kind of like not finished, so yeah. And this actually marks the sort of, this is what I ended up using as the back cover for my first novel, and I really liked how this turned out. It kind of like helped me get to grips. And what I did was I put this on the computer, scanned it in, and then heightened the contrast and got rid of this background bit, but kept the black bit, so that it was a bit of a contrast. I'll actually just quickly go see if I can get the book for that. I'm actually corrected. It's actually the front cover of the book. So yeah, it was. I kind of just like the sort of frame and things with the two circles there. That's kind of what I used that for in the end. working on another profile picture. And that actually brings us up to the end of 2014. So that's it for that. I really hope you enjoyed it. There is actually 2015 in this one as well. So maybe in another month or so, I'll go through again these particular folders as well. And I will hopefully really get to show you some of my other pieces. And you can definitely see the progress through the years. Or at least I'd hope you see progress through the years. So until next time, ta-ra!